Okay, so Section 10, compensation of the Board of RadTech. So the members of the board shall have each receive the same compensation as members of other boards under the supervision of the Commission as provided in the General Appropriations Act. So kung magkano yung sweldo ng compensation, yung honorarium ng members of the Board of Nursing, members of the Board of MedTech, and other professionals, so pareho rin sila ng compensation ng Board of RadTech. So because they are government employees, so yung compensation nila ay fixed na based on the General Appropriations Act. Section 11, removal of the board members or the chairman, including the chairman. Any member of the board may be removed from office by the president. Yun yung na-mention ko kanina. Only the president can remove the members or chairman of the board of RadTech and even other members of the board sa ibang professions. So they can be removed by the president upon the recommendation of the commission for neglect of duty, incompetence, or unprofessional, immoral, or dishonorable conduct, or if they have committed or tolerated irregularities in the conduct of the examinations, after having been given the opportunity to defend themselves in a proper administrative investigation conducted by the Commission. So, pwede silang matanggal ng Pangulo or the President of the Philippines through or upon the recommendation of the PRC for the grounds that have been mentioned. So dahil nag-neglect sila ng kanilang duty or they are incompetent or nagbenta sila ng mga questions para sa board exam. So upon proper investigation, so pwede silang ma-remove from their office. Then we have Section 12, supervision of the board and custody of its records. The members of the board shall be under the general supervision of the commission, and no record shall be removed, altered, or examined without the prior authorization of the board. So the members of the board, so they are under the PRC. So they are being supervised by the PRC. But lahat ng mga records ng, for example, ng Board of RadTech na nandun sa PRC office, so they cannot be retrieved, they cannot be altered or examined without the authorization of the board. So, halimbawa, yung mga test papers na nakatago doon sa PRC office, so pwede lang silang i-retrieve sakaling may mga reklamo. So, pwede silang i-retrieve or may mga minutes of the meetings, pwede silang i-retrieve again with the authorization of the board. Hindi pwede na yung PRC mismo yung mag-decide na mag-alter or mag-retrieve ng information ng Board of RadTech. So although they supervise the function, the duties and function, or the operations of the Board of RadTech, still the Commission will have to ask permission or authorization from the board if they need something from the documents that are being kept in their office. All records, including the papers, examination papers, the results, minutes of deliberation or meeting, records of administrative cases, and investigation of the board shall be kept by the commission. So, as I have mentioned, sila yung nagtatago ng records ng board. Section 13, Rules and Regulations. Subject to the approval of the Commission, the Board shall set ethical and professional standards for the practice of RadTech and X-ray Tech. So that's why we have the, as we have mentioned sa previous slides, we have the Code of Ethics, RadTech's Professional Code of Ethics. So yung sources natin ay dalawa. So from the ASRT or the American Society of Radtechs, and the other source is from the board or the board of Radtechs. And adopt such rules and regulations as may be necessary to carry out the provisions of this act. Such standards, rules, and regulations shall take effect 1 month after publication in any newspaper of general circulation. So pag may mga bagong set ng rules and regulations ng ethical standards, so before it can be implemented, so it should be circulated sa mga newspapers, sa TV, sa social media within 30 days or 1 month, so that a majority, if not all, of the members of the profession will be aware of the new sets of rules and regulations or standards. Section 14, the annual report. The board shall, at the end of each calendar year, submit to the Commission an annual report of its activities and proceedings during the year. So kung ano yung mga activities nila, ano yung mga programs na ginawa nila sa buong taon, so at the end of the calendar year, so isasubmit nila yan sa PRC. So dahil nga sabi natin, yung PRC ang nagtatago na lahat ng documents ng Board of Radtech. Other information or data may be requested by the Commission as often as may be necessary and practicable. So if there are times, so kapag kailangan talaga or necessary, so pwedeng mag-request ng Commission, ang PRC, ng any document from the board. So hindi na kailangan magantay ng end of the year or end of the calendar year para ma-receive ng Commission yung document na kailangan nila. So as long as it is practicable and it is necessary. Section 15, requirement for the practice of Radtech and X-ray tech. Unless exempt from the examinations, so the exemption are stated in sections 16 and 17, which I will discuss in a while, no person, so unless wala ka dito sa 16 and 17, hindi ka na belong or na-qualify sa 16 and 17, no person shall practice or offer to practice as a Radtech and or X-ray tech in the Philippines without having obtained the proper certificate of registration from the board. So, yun ang paulit-ulit kong sinasabi na importante ang magkaroon ng certificate of registration as compared to having a PRC ID. Okay? So, ito yung pinaka-proof talaga na you are a registered Radtech. So, according to Section 15, if you don't have a certificate of registration, so you cannot practice being a Radtech and or X-ray tech. So, for example, if you pass the board exam, if you have undergone oath-taking, if you have already the license, PRC license, but you did not receive yet your certificate of registration, so you cannot practice, you cannot work as Radtech or X-ray tech because that is a violation again of RA 7431 Section 15. Next, Section 16. So these are the exemption from examination in X-ray tech. So according to this section, exam shall not be required of the following persons. So lahat ng mga nakastipulate dito, na-describe dito, they are exempted from taking the board exam for X-ray tech. Okay? So first, the first members of the board of Radtech, so as mentioned kanina sa section 7B, so they are exempted. So sabi ko nga kanina, they are automatically regarded as licensed or professional X-ray techs and or Radtechs. Second, those who prior or before the approval of this act have passed the civil service exam for X-ray technicians or the exam for the private sector X-ray technicians, for chest X-ray technicians, or the proficiency exam for medical radiation technicians administered by the DOH through the RHO or the RHS, Radiation Health Office and Radiation Health Service. Aforementioned categories shall register with the board after they shall have compiled or complied with the requirements for registration as radiologic technologies. So dito naman sa section B, before 1992, that is prior to the approval of this act, so before 1992, lahat ng mga graduate ng X-ray Tech or ng Associate in Rad Tech na pumasa sa exam ng Civil Service or pumasa sa exam ng Private Sector X-ray Technicians or Chest X-ray Technicians or Proficiency Exams for Medical Radiation Technicians na binigay ng DOH kapag napasa nila yon before 1992, so they can apply for a license. Provided na lahat ng mga proof, so pakita nila lahat ng proof na they have passed these mentioned exams. Not all ha, pero at least one of the exams nakapasa sila before 1992. So isasubmit nila yan sa board through the PRC so that they can be given a certificate of registration as rad techs or X-ray techs. So sa section 17, exemption naman for practice of rad tech. So again, the first members, so they can have, so pwede sila ha, yung first members ng Board of Rad Tech, yung tatlong Rad Tech, yung chairman, tsaka dalawang Rad Tech. So they can apply both for a license for X-ray Tech and license for Rad Tech. Okay, so they are exempted. Also, Rad Techs from other countries invited for lectures of consultation or as visiting exchange professors to colleges or universities. So, exempted din na kumuha ng board exam ang mga Rad Techs na galing sa ibang bansa or mga foreign Rad Techs, foreigners. If they come here in the Philippines for lectures or consultations, or if they are visiting or exchange professors to colleges or universities that are duly recognized by the government. So kapag na-invite sila halimbawa ng isang school dito sa Philippines na recognized by the CHED or the government, so pwede silang magturo rito, pero part-time lang ha, hindi sila full-time na dito talaga. So, invited for lectures, consultation, visiting or exchange professors to colleges or government, to colleges or universities duly recognized by the government, they are exempted to take the board exam. So, pwede sila magturo part-time, provided that such rad techs are legally qualified to practice as such in their own state or country. So, pwede silang magturo rito, halimbawa, provided pwede silang magturo rito sa mga schools or colleges as exchange professors or lectures visiting professors without taking the board exam dito sa Philippines, provided na they are already registered in their own state or country. Kung saan man sila galing, dapat license na sila doon. Halimbawa, galing sila sa Saudi or galing sila sa US. So, dapat license na sila doon. Okay? Provided further that they shall first secure a special permit from the board which shall be valid as the board may determine. So before sila, halimbawa dito na sa Pilipinas, before sila makapag-start na magturo sa colleges or sa universities, need nila na kumuha ng special permit from the Board of Rad Tech. And then nakasaad dun sa permit nila kung hanggang kailan lang siya valid. After that, after the validity, they are no longer exempted dito na magturo. Halimbawa, pag gusto nila mag-continue magturo, they need to take the board exam na here in the Philippines. Or They can talk about it with the board, discuss na kailangan mag-extend. Halimbawa, so board nang bahala doon. Okay? So basta may validity siya, hindi siya yung forever. Dahil walang forever. Okay? Next. Provided, additional provision, provided, finally, that the privilege granted in this subsection shall be given only to RADTECs from countries giving similar privilege to their Filipino counterparts. So again, halimbawa, nag-invite tayo ng foreigner na RADTEC, license na siya dun sa kanila, halimbawa sa US, license RADTEC siya. In-invite siya dito sa Philippines, and then for exchange professor, halimbawa, or lecture, or consultation. So, na-invite siya ng isang school or university or college dito sa Philippines na duly recognized by the government, ng CHED natin. Then, nakakuha na siya ng special permit from the Board of RADTEC. Hindi pa rin siya pwedeng magturo kahit na-meet niya na yung mga requirements na yon if, so if doon sa country, halimbawa sa Australia siya galing, if doon sa Australia, hindi nagbibigay ng the same privilege sa mga Filipino RADTECs. So, ibig sabihin, halimbawa, pag ako nakipag-exchange sa kanya, pagdating ko doon sa Australia, nag-comply ako ng mga requirements, katulad ng mga requirements dito sa atin, pero hindi ako pinayagang magturo kasi kailangan ko kumuha ng state board o ng board exam nila doon. So, dito sa Philippines, hindi din natin sila papayagan. So, kailangan parehong privilege ang ibibigay. Kapag hindi sila nag-grant doon sa atin, dito sa atin, hindi rin natin sila i-grant ng ganong privilege. Okay? So, they need to take the board exam also. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. Those who, prior to the approval of this act, have passed the proficiency exam, so katulad din kanina nung sa X-ray Tech, so before 1992, if the graduate of the BSRT, so have already passed the exam for medical radiation technologist by the DOH through the RHO or RHS, and those who, prior to the approval of this act, have passed the civil service exam for X-ray Tech, so yung mga na-mention natin kanina, or the proficiency exam for medical radiation technicians administered by the DOH, RHS, or Radiation Health Service with 10 years continuous, take note, 10 years continuous practice of RADTEC after passing one of those aforementioned exams. So, if before 1992, you have taken the exam administered by the DOH or the Civil Service exam, you can apply for a license as an X-ray technologist. But in addition to that, if you have been practicing for 10 years, so aside from passing those exams, one of those exams, hindi lahat so one of those exams, and then you have served for 10 years continuous, meaning walang stopover. Dapat continuous yung 10 years. So hindi pwede na, for example, 1980 to 1985, RADTEC ka. Then 1986 to 1987, nag-stop ka. Kasi nag-abroad ka, nag-vacation ka, or nag-business ka, and then you continued again on 1999. So, hindi siya counted. So, although naka 20 years ka ng RADTEC, pero hindi siya continuous, so hindi ka pasok. Hindi ka exempted to take the board exam. Okay? Those falling under categories A, C, and D shall register with the board after they shall have complied with the requirements for registration as RadTech. So the same process, if you have passed the board exam, if you have complied with all the requirements, lahat ng mga documents na kailangan ipakita as proof that you have passed the exam given by civil service or ng DOH, and that you have served for 10 continuous years as rad techs or x-ray techs. So, ipapasa lahat yon sa board through the PRC so that you will be exempted to take the board exam and you will be granted a certificate of registration as a radiologic technologist. Okay? So, those are exemptions for section 16 and 17. Next is section 18. So except as otherwise specifically allowed under the provisions of this act and under existing laws, all applicants for registration as rad techs and x-ray techs shall be required to undergo an exam which shall be given once a year by the board through the commission according to its rules and regulations and at such time and place as may be determined by the commission. So pag hindi ka pasok sa section 16 and 17, hindi ka exempted, lahat ng mga graduates ng rad techs and x-ray techs need to take the board exam. So the board exam will be administered by the Board of RadTech once a year through the PRC. So ang PRC ang maghahanap kung saan ang venue at kailan. So marami sa atin, marami sa mga universities or colleges na nag-offer ng RadTech ang sumulat na sa PRC kung pwede gawing twice a year. Kasi before twice a year naman yung exam ng RadTech. Pero ang sagot ng PRC, ng legal team nila is, kung gusto natin ng twice a year, kahit every month pa, kahit thrice a year or anytime, we have to amend our law. Ibig sabihin, kailangan palitan natin ang nakasaad sa section 18. Kasi ito yung nagiging basihan ng PRC kung bakit yung pinapayagan lang is once a year. Ang sabi nila, kapag nagbigay sila ng go signal para maging twice a year yung exam ng RadTech, they will violate RA 7431 Section 18 provisions. So, pwede silang makasuhan, halimbawa. So, yun yung advice nila. We have to amend our laws. Kailangan palitan, baguhin, i-modify para maging akma sa kinakailangan natin sa ngayon. So, I think our APO or the part are now starting to do something about it, but I have no idea about the updates kung saan na, anong level na or nataakal na ba sa lower house. Kasi because this is a law, so kailangan siyang i-discuss sa House of Representatives and then sa Senate and then to be approved by the President. Yung mga amendments ng law natin. And parang katulad siya ng ABS-CBN na franchise, kailangan siyang i-discuss. And yung pag-discuss naman ng mga amendments katulad ng sa atin, according to priorities. So kung hindi siya ganun ka-priority, katulad ng sa ABS-CBN, hindi siya daw, sabi ng iba, hindi daw siya ganun ka-priority, pero malakas yung kapit nila, marami silang backups na politicians. So, natakel siya, na-discuss siya, and nabigyan ng desisyon ASAP. Pero sa atin, so hindi siya ganun ka-priority ng government. So, I don't know, baka in the near future pa siya ma-amend. Okay? So, let's just hope. And prepare na lang tayo sa once a year na board exam. So, Section 19, Qualifications for Examination. So, sino yung mga qualified na kumuha ng board exam? So, every applicant for examination under this act prior to admission for exam established to the satisfaction of the board that he or she dapat Filipino citizen. Hindi pinapayagang kumuha ng board exam ang foreign student dito sa Philippines. Halimbawa, foreigner siya, tapos dito siya nag-graduate sa Philippines ng BSRT, so hindi siya pwedeng kumuha ng board exam. Only a Filipino citizen is allowed. Of good moral character and has not been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude. So dapat wala siyang iskandalo sa buhay, hindi siya na-convict sa isang crime. So that is why when we apply for board exam, hinahanapan din tayo ng Certificate of Good Moral Character. Dapat holder of a baccalaureate degree and radiologic technology from a school, college, or university recognized by the government if mag-a-apply ng exam for RadTech. So dapat pag nag-apply ka ng exam as RadTech, graduate ka rin ng BSRT sa school na recognized ng CHED. Okay? Pero pag ang school mo ay hindi pa na-recognize ng CHED, although you have already graduated kahit summa cum laude ka pa or magna cum laude, so you will still not be allowed to take the board exam. Kailangan yung school mo should be recognized by CHED. And if you are planning to take the board exam for X-ray tech naman, you should be a graduate of at least associate in radiologic technology. So 3 years siya. Bali ganito siya. Kung kukuha ka ng exam sa X-ray tech, dapat graduate ka ng ART. Okay, yung associate, yung diploma, yung 3 years. Pero, pag graduate ka ng BSRT, you are still allowed to take the exam of X-ray tech. Okay, dahil overqualified ka nga. Qualified, very, very qualified ka. So again, if X-ray tech exam, pwedeng mag-apply ang associate graduate or ang BS graduate. But if you're going to take the exam of a RadTech, for RadTech licensure examination, so RTLE, so you should be a graduate of BSRT. If graduate ka ng ART, you will not be allowed to take the board exam for RadTech. Because 3 years lang ang natapos mo. Dito, according sa provision sa Section 19, dapat graduate ka ng baccalaureate degree para makakuha ka ng exam for RadTech. So, pag graduate ka ng ART, hindi ka pwedeng kumuha ng RadTech licensure exam. Pero pag ang gusto mong kunin is X-ray tech, so pwede ka mag-apply if you have graduated from associate or from BSRT. Okay? So, I hope that is clear. Next. So next is section 20, the scope of examination in X-ray tech. Unless changed or modified by the board, the examination in X-ray tech shall cover the following subjects with the corresponding weights as follows. So ito yung mga exams na kinukuha ng X-ray tech. So rad physics, 10%. Radiobiology, which is radiobiology and radiation protection, 10. Equipment and maintenance, 10. Radiographic positioning, 10%. Radiographic technique and special procedures, 10 each. Anatomy and physiology, as well as medical term, that is 15%. So also, they have to take photochem and darkroom procedures, 10%. Film analysis, 5%. Nursing and departmental procedures in radiology, 5%. And professional ethics, 5%. So a total of 100%. So that is for the scope of exam for X-ray tech. For rad techs naman, so unless changed or modified by the board, so ito naman yung subjects natin. So physics, 10%, rad bio and protection, 10%, positioning is 10%, technique is 10%, special procedures, 10, Ana Physio medical term, 10, photochem and film analysis, 10, nursing and departmental procedures in radiology and professional ethics, that is only 5%. Then we have ultrasound, RadSci includes ultrasound, RadTera, NucMed, RadPatho, CT, and MRI, 5%. So RadSci is 25%. So the rest, so 75%. So ito yung mga subjects na kinukuha natin sa RadTech. So this is an example of a program of the RadTech's licensure exam, which was held in Manila, Baguio, Cagayan de Oro, Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, Legazpi, and Tuguegarao last July 29 and 30, 2018. So although different ang dates niya, but the time and the scope, the subjects, the weight are still the same, even until now, okay? So usually, it starts at 7 a.m., usually 6 o'clock nga. 7 a.m., general instructions and filling out of forms. So it starts at 7 a.m. For about 45 minutes. So general instructions and filling out of forms. So dapat hindi ka malilate. Okay? So usually, yung ina-advise sa students is that 6 o'clock andun ka na. Kasi minsan, 6 or 6:30, nandun na yung proctor, pinapapasok na lahat ng mga kukuha ng exam, then nag-start na magbigay ng instructions. And then, if you are late, so minsan, kahit 8 o'clock pa yung exam, pag hindi ka umabot, like 7 a.m., wala ka pa ron, then pwedeng hindi ka na i-allow ng proctor na kumuha ng board exam. So, mas mabuti na yung ikaw maghihintay sa proctor sa pag-start ng exam kesa see you next year ka. Okay? Pwede ka pa ma-blacklist. So, at 8 a.m. to 10:30, so the first exam will be the Rad Physics, Equipment and Maintenance, Rad Bio, Radiation Protection, and Quality Assurance. So, this is about 20%. Okay? So next, so may 10:30, may 1 hour, 10:30 siya mag-end, may 1 hour na break. So image production and evaluation, it is 20%. So hindi na siya pareho dun sa nakasaad kanina sa ating RA 7431. Yung weights niya, hindi na siya 10, 10, 5. Okay? Kasi nakasaad naman doon unless otherwise revised by the board. Okay? So this includes photochem, film processing, and fundamentals of radiography. Then may 1 hour ulit na break, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So minsan, 3:30 to 5, depende kasi. Basta yung, usually yung time niya is about 2 hours to 2.5. Okay? So next is positioning. So this includes the radiologic procedures and positioning, radiologic contrast, and examination. So that is 20%. Then the next day, kasi 2 days tayo, the next day, so kahit hindi ka na pumasok ng 6 as early as 6 a.m. Basta before 8 a.m. kasi tapos na naman yung ang giving of instructions sa first day. So 8 a.m. to 10:30, if you have noticed, 2.5 siya. So minsan 8 to 10 din. So patient care management, ethics, jurisprudence, human ana, physio, medical term. 20% lang siya pero ang dami niya. So patient care, department administration, professional ethics and jurisprudence, human anatomy and physiology, and medical term. Then 1 hour break ulit, 11:30 to 2 p.m. So ito yung radsay, yung dreaded radsay. Nakakalokang radsay, 20%. So this includes radpato, ultrasound, CT, MRI, radtera, and NUCMED. Okay? So sabi ko, hindi nag-iiba yung subjects. The time may change, but it is about 2 to 2.5 hours. The weight will still be the same as well as the subjects because it's a board resolution number 02, which was issued on May 8, 2008. Okay? So for general instructions, so I got this from PRC mismo. So check or verify your school or building assignments at the PRC official website or through the notices or announcements to be posted at the PRC premises 2 to 3 working days before the date of the exam. So usually, malalaman natin kung saan yung venue ng exam, anong school, and then anong room tayo, 2 to 3 days pa before the board exam. Hindi siya ina-announce ng 1 month before. So 2 to 3 days. Report to the school or building assignment before 6:30. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, as early as 6 a.m. Before nga before 6:30. On the first day of the exam, to verify your room, para hindi ka rin mag-cram, para hindi ka maloka, para makapag-relax ka kahit paano kasi maaga ka. Tsaka to give allowance din kasi baka maligaw ka, baka may mga changes, so mahihirapan ka, mahassle kang maghanap ng room. And your seat number. It's important to be punctual during the exam. Late examinees will not be admitted. So kahit 1 minute lang yan, especially if very strict yung proctor, so hindi ka talaga makakapasok. So automatic, hindi ka na makakuha ng board exam. So sayang yung pinaghirapan mo, sayang yung efforts mo ng ilang buwan. Number 3, examinees are required to wear the following attire every exam day. So sa male, white polo shirt with collar, dapat wala siyang print, walang seal or logo or mark, and decent pants or slacks. So any color basta decent. So usually black, gray, dark blue. Sa babae ganun din, white blouse or shirt with color. Without any seal, logo, or mark, then decent skirt or slacks. So pwedeng mag-slack, pwedeng mag-slacks, pwedeng mag-skirt. So basta decent. Okay? So hindi tattered. Hindi siya yung gutay-gutay, yung butas-butas. And for the shoes, so closed shoes, no slippers. So any color, okay? Pero I think ina-allow pa rin naman nila. So although ito na yung nakalagay sa PRC, I think ina-allow pa rin ng mga proctor na naka-scrub suit or naka-clinical uniform. But to make sure na hindi ka mahassle, so i-follow mo na lang ito. Okay? So baka kasi maging sobrang strict nung proctor, so makita niya na hindi naman yung suot mo na naka-scrub suit ka or naka-clinical uniform ka, hindi naman yun yung nakalagay dito sa PRC. So baka hindi ka makapasok. So para sure na lang, sundin na lang natin to. Okay? At least kapag hindi ka pinapasok na ito yung suot mo, you will have the proof. You will have the basis. Ma'am, ito po nakalagay sa PRC. Ito po yung dapat naming suotin. So, wala kang magiging problema doon. Okay? So, bring the following on the exam day, the NOA or the Notice of Admission, which you will have after you process, you apply for registration for exam, you apply for examination, sa PRC. They will give you a notice of admission. So, ito yung pinaka-passport mo. So, wag na wag mo siyang iwawala. Okay? Even after you pass the board exam, you still need your NOA. Kasi hinahanap siya pag bumalik ka na ulit sa PRC and mag-register as a professional rad tech or x-ray tech na. Also, if for sa kasamaang palad, you fail the exam, next year you will apply again for the exam, you will still need to present your old NOAA. Okay? So para hindi ka na umulit sa first step, mas madali siya ma-retrieve yung documents mo, yung files mo if you have your old NOAA. Then the official receipt, which is stapled, so yung OR, naka-staple naman siya sa NOAA. So, dapat hindi sila magkahiwalay. One piece, metered stamp, window mailing envelope. So, pwede siya mabili sa PRC or minsan may nabebenta rin dun sa venue mismo. 2 or more pencils, Mongol number 2. Ball pens with black ink only. Okay? So, make sure black ink. Because not following instructions, kapag nag-fill up kayo, halimbawa, during the first day, tapos blue yung ink mo, wala na. 1 piece long brown envelope, 1 piece long transparent plastic envelope for keeping your valuables and other allowed items. So, ito yung 1 piece long brown envelope. So, ipinapasa ito sa proctor. So, dyan nilalagay yung mga test papers mo. Okay? So also, please take note of the following which are prohibited inside the exam premises or rooms. So you are not allowed to bring books, notes, review materials, and other printed materials containing coded data, information, or formula. Sorry for the manok. Information or formula inside the room. Sa examination room, bawal na. Bawal din ang programmable calculators. So may mga list sa PRC website, makikita nyo doon yung mga list ng calculators na allowed. Kasi pag wala doon yung calculator mo, hindi ka papayagan ng proctor na gamitin yung calculator na yon. So make sure when you buy a calculator or when you bring the calculator during the board exam, make sure na sa listahan siya nung na-publish ng PRC. Bawal din ang smartwatch, cellphones, earplugs, transmitters, portable computers, Bluetooth, and other electronic gadgets, devices which may be used for communication purposes. Bawal din ang bags. So, if kailangan mo ng bag, lalagyan ng pera or cellphones or valuables, so usually, pinapayagan siya ng proctor, pero during the exam, ilalagay siya either doon sa pinakalikod ng room or doon sa pinakaharap. So, if halimbawa, ikaw yung pinakalas na nakatapos kumuha ng exam, may mga nauna sa'yo, and then hindi mo na malayan na may kumuha ng bag mo doon sa harap or sa likod, so walang pananagutan doon yung proctor. Okay? So make sure when you take the board exam, so wag magdala ng mga valuables, or kung may cellphones ka man, so maghanap ka ng somebody doon sa labas, like teachers nyo or kung sino man yung kasama nyo na nag-aantay sa inyo sa labas para magbantay doon sa gamit mo. Okay? So other exam aids not stated on this program. So lahat pa ng klaseng materials na pwedeng gamitin for the exam, so na hindi na mention dito, also they are prohibited. So again, PRC will not be answerable for prohibited items that will be lost. Kapag na-confiscate, actually hindi naman siya confiscate ang tawag doon. Halimbawa, may dala kang cellphone. Sabihin mo, wala ka mang pag-iiwanan. So, kukunin yun ng proctor. Then, ilalagay kung saan man, sa likod or sa harap ng examination room. Then, kapag nawala yun, wala silang pananagutan. Kasi, in the first place, alam mo na bawal siyang dalhin. Okay? Then, read carefully and follow the instructions on your NOAA and examinee guide. So, yung examinee guide, binibigay din siya ng PRC when you process for application for exam. Then section 22, report of ratings. The board shall within 120 days, so 120 days ang maximum, Pero as of now, dahil because of the technology, so 2 to 3 days or 5 days, may result na tayo. After the date of completion of the exam, report the rating obtained by each candidate to the Commission, which shall submit such report to the President of the Philippines for approval. So ito ha, so within 120 days, so dapat hindi siya lalagpas ng 3 buwan. So, mai-release na yung result. So, usually, yung pinakamatagal naman i-release na results, yung mga nursing before, dahil ang dami nila, yung sa licensure exams for teachers. Pero sa atin sa LabTech, since konti lang tayo, so, yun nga, days lang, may results na. So, the result will be submitted to the commission. So, report the rating obtained by each candidate to the commission. So, yung board na, yung nag-check na ating examination papers. Isasubmit nila lahat ng names ng mga nakapasa sa PRC. Then, the PRC will submit or forward the result or names sa President of the Philippines for approval. Once na-approve na siya ng Philippine President, saka pa siya i-publish. Okay? So para makapasa, a candidate must obtain a weighted average of at least 75% with no rating below 60% in any subject. An examinee who obtains an average rating of 75% or higher but gets a rating below 60% in any subject shall be allowed to take the exam in only those subjects in which he obtained a rating below 60%. Such exam shall be, as far as practicable, be taken in the next scheduled exam. So, bali ito siya. So, for example, we have 5 subjects. 4, 5. So, you have 80%, for example. Then you have 61%. Then you have 70%, 75%, and last, nakakuha ka ng 60%. Okay? So, susumahin natin ngayon kung ano yung average mo. So, 80 plus 61 plus 70 plus 75 plus 60 divided by 5. So, ang nakuha mo is 69, if you can see it, 69.2%. So, hindi siya pasado, di ba? Kasi dapat 75% at least ang general average mo. Although, lahat ng subjects mo each ay 60% above. Okay? So, kailangan kapag ganito, halimbawa, kailangan mong bumawi sa ibang subjects. Halimbawa, dito 80, dito 65, dito 60. Dapat dito 85 or 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sige. Try natin kung ano yung average. 80 plus 65 plus 60 plus 85 plus 90 divided by 5. So, nakapasa ka ngayon dahil that is 76%. So, yung pen ko. 76%. So, pasado. Pasado ka kasi yung general average mo is 76%. 75 lang yung pinaka-limit. So, 76, pasado ka. And then, each subject is above 60. Halimbawa, eto. Nakakuha ka ng 90. 95. Wow. And then, nakakuha ng 93. Then, 92. Then, sa radsay mo, 59. Okay? So, tingnan natin kung ano yung average. 90 plus 95 plus 93 plus 92 plus 59 divided by 5. So, your average is, ano ba? 86 or 85.8. So, 85.8. Question, pasado ka ba? Kasi it is above 75%. What do you think? Pasado ba? Hindi. Okay? Ang tawag sa iyo is conditional. Ang status mo is conditional. Bakit? Because there is a subject, there is one subject na nakakuha ka ng below 60%. Ang sabi dun kanina, dapat each subject must be 60% above. And the general or the general average must be 75% and above. Pasado ka nga rito sa general average pero may isang subject ka na below 60, so hindi ka pasado for that exam. So, sabi ko, your erase natin muna. So, your status, you will be called conditional. So, bakit conditional? So, ang sabi nung kanina sa provision, you will need to take the exam or the subject where you have a rating of below 60% on the next exam. So, for example, if you took the exam on 2020, tapos ito yung kapalaran mo, so sana isa na lang. Kahit nag 59.9 pa yan, hindi pa rin pwede. So, next year, sa 2021, apply ka ulit ng exam. So, kailangan mo ng NOAA. And then, yung kukunin mo na lang na exam is yung RADSAI. Isa na lang ang kukunin mo. Kasi ito lang yung subject mo na below 60. So, most likely, dahil isang subject lang yon, most likely, papasa ka na, di ba? So, kapag nakakuha ka ng exam na RADSAI, since isa lang, ang kailangan dito, ang nire-require ng batas and ng Board of RadTech is makakuha ka ng at least 75%. So, hindi pwede na ang target mo nandito sa RADSAI is 60%. Okay? So, ang kailangan mong rating, dahil isang subject lang yan, 75%. Okay? So, kahit dalawang subject pa yan, halimbawa, ito, 58. So, dalawang subjects kunin mo. So, kailangan 75% pa rin, at least, per subject. Okay? So, halimbawa, hindi ka nakakuha ng 75%, 74 lang. Next year, you will be allowed to take the exam again, isang subject ulit. So, 3 times. I-allow ka mag-take ng subject na kulang mo for 3 times. Okay? So, 2020, so 2021, 22, 23. So, halimbawa, sa 3 years na ito, hindi mo talaga makuha yung 75%. Lagi kang kulang. 74, 73, 74.9, mas masakit yon. So anyway, kapag hindi ka pa nakapasa, hindi ka nakakuha ng 75% sa 3 years na ito, sa isang subject lang, sa 2024, you need to take the whole board exam. Kailangan mo na ulit kumuha ng 5 subjects. Okay? So, binigyan ka na ng chance. 3 chance na. So, hindi mo pa rin siya nakuha. So, sa pang-apat na year, pang-apat na chance mo, hindi na chance tawag doon. Chance pa rin pala kasi bibigyan ka ng chance na kumuha ulit ng board exam. Yun nga lang, 5 subjects na ang kukunin mo. Okay? So, yun yung tinatawag nating conditional. So, when you apply for a conditional exam sa mga subjects na kulang mo lang, So you will still need to undergo the same process. Okay? The same pa rin yung fees na babayaran mo, the same requirements na kailangan. So you still need to report sa first day, kahit sa second day mo na kailangan, kaya second day na yung exam mo na RADSA, halimbawa, sa first day, need mo pa rin mag-report for the instructions. Okay? So, yan yung sa rating ng board exam. Wait, erase ko lang muna. Kailangan erase ko lang. Makita. So, I hope clear na siya ha, yung sa board exam. So, again, ito yung sinasabi ko a while ago. In order to pass the second exam, the examinee must obtain a rating of 75% in each subjects repeated. So, hindi na pasok doon yung 60%. So, 75 na. If the candidate still fails the re-examination, he shall as far as practicable be required to repeat the said subjects during the succeeding examination. When an applicant fails to qualify after the third exam, so pangatlong exam na, so below 75 pa rin, he shall be required to take the entire exam. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So section 23, oath-taking. Yay! After you pass the board exam, so oath-taking naman. So you need to go to the PRC to apply for the schedule and to apply for oath-taking. And also apply for registration for registration as a professional RADTEX na. All successful examinees shall be required to take a professional oath. So you are all required. So it is our professional obligation to take the board, to undergo oath taking, I mean. To take a professional oath before the board, kung sa Manila ka pupunta, or if may schedule sila dito sa Visayas or sa Mindanao, so you have to take a professional oath before the board, or if walang budget para umattend sa scheduled oath taking, pwede ka naman pumunta sa PRC. So may mga schedule sila na pinupost doon kung kailan sila nag-administer ng oath taking. So mag-oath ka lang sa harap ng legal team nila ng abogado ng PRC. To the practice of their profession as rad techs and x-ray techs. A registrant who cannot or has failed to attend the scheduled mass oath-taking may request for a special or individual oath-taking to the board concerned. So, pag hindi kaya pumunta sa scheduled oath-taking, so pwedeng mag-request na pwede dito lang ako sa PRC, sa Iloilo, or sa Bacolod, or kung saan man practicable na i-allow ng Board of RADTEC. The request must cite the reasons for his or her failure to attend the mass oath taking. Section 24, issuance of certificates of registration. So after you pass the board exam, after you have undergone oath taking, so every applicant who has satisfactorily pass the required examination shall, upon payment of the registration fee as provided in Section 25, So, yung mga kailangang bayaran, nasa Section 25, be issued a certificate of registration as RAD text or as an X-ray text. The board shall, subject to review by the Commission, issue the corresponding certificates to persons who apply for the same who are exempted from the examinations provided under Section 16 and 17. So, if you have passed the board exam and if you have paid the corresponding fee, stated in Section 25, so you will be given a certificate of registration aside from your PRC license or PRC ID. And also, those who were exempted, as stated sa Section 16 and 17, they will also be given a certificate of registration upon the evaluation of commission if they have really complied with the requirements. So, if nakasubmit sila ng mga documents so that they will be exempted, they will also be given certificate of registration. The certificate of registration contains the full name of the registrant, kung sino yung pumasa. May serial number siya, signature of the commissioner, date of issuance, and of course, the official seal of the board duly affixed thereto. Okay? So, yan yung nakalagay sa ating certificate of registration. So, ito yung mga fees na sinasabi ko. So, unless otherwise fixed by the Commission, each examinee or registrant shall pay the following fees. Application is $350. So, this was in 1992 pang rate. For registration, after passing the exam, $250. So, meaning, when you apply for the exam, so you need to pay sa PRC. When you pass the board exam, you have to register again sa PRC as a registered RAD tech. So you need to pay again. If you did not take the board exam because you are exempted based on Section 16 and 17, so you need to pay $250 for registration. If you lost or destroyed your certificate of registration, that is 100 pesos. For reissuance, if your certificate was suspended, also 100 pesos. So, ngayon, as of 2020, ito yung examination fees natin. This is also taken from the PRC website. For BS examinees, RADTEX, yung babayaran natin for examination is 900 pesos. Hindi na siya 350. So, 1992 pa itong rate. So, 900 pesos. For associate or mga non-BS, so 600 pesos. For conditional, sabi ko kanina, conditional is 450. Then, ito sila, hindi naman natin yan kailangan. Ito lang. Sa baccalaureate, 900. Non-baccalaureate, 600. Conditional is 450. So, application for registration can be done through the PRC online services. So, ito na yung procedure natin ngayon. So, before you apply, before you go to the PRC office, kailangan mag-online muna. Ang nakasaad dito is after na you pass the board exam. Pero before you pass the board exam, kukuha ka muna ng exam, di ba? And before makakuha ng board exam, mag-a-apply ka sa PRC, application for examination. Yun yung babayaran nating 900. So, online pa din. You need to create a profile, an account sa PRC. Ito siya, yung online.prc.gov.ph. You need to make an account there. So, you register, you fill up the necessary information. And then, may schedule doon. So, pwede kang mag-select kung kailan ang schedule na available, na pwede kang pumunta sa PRC para mag-process, mag-submit ng documents. Before you go to the PRC, kapag nakapag-schedule ka na, so isi-select mo rin doon kung saan ka magpa-process, saan ka kukuha ng board exam, saan ka magbabayad. Then you have also to pay. So you can pay online. So may mga portals doon, pwede mag-pay online. And then you can submit the reference, I think, or the code or the proof of payment. So para ma-secure mo yung slot kung kailan yung schedule mo na pumunta sa PRC or sa satellite office ng PRC. So the same is true kapag nakapasa ka na. So you need again to visit this website. Pero this time, dahil may account ka na doon, no need na to register or to sign up. You just need to log in. Mag-log in ka na lang using the account that you made when you apply for the exam. Then, after securing the printed out form, so at the same process pa rin na, so mag-schedule ka and then magbabayad. After securing the printed form or the printed oath form, the registrant will proceed to the appointment place to personally submit requirements and sign in the roster of registered professionals. Applicants for registration are required to bring the following. So printed oath form, the same requirement din siya to apply for exam, passport size pictures and white background and full name tag. 2 documentary stamps, so you can buy this sa PRC mismo. Your community tax certificate or your cedula. Note, additional requirement may be required by the Professional Regulatory Board. So, the Board of RadTech, so far, wala naman silang additional requirement. The fees for initial registration are as follows. So, kanina, initial registration natin is ito, 250. Pero this time, that is 600. So, ang dating 250, ngayon 600 na. So, initial siya, when we say initial, so first time mo magpa-register as professional or professional RadTech. So, after 3 years, you need to renew your license. So, ito na yung babayaran. 450. So, sa initial registration, so 600 or 450, so a total of 1,050. So, kailangan mo siyang bayaran. Initial registration fee and annual renewal fee. So, 1,050 ha sa first registration mo. Then, after, sabi ko nga, after 3 years that your license is about to expire, you need to pay 450 na lang. So, hindi na siya 1,050. For examinations requiring non-baccalaureate degrees, initial registration fee is 450. So, X-ray Tech. So, 450. Annual renewal fee is 420. So, yung babayaran nila sa mga X-ray Tech, halimbawa, is 870. Sa mga RadTech, 1,050. Pero sa pagka-next, after 3 years, so 420 na lang. So, sa atin is 450 as RadTech. Then, for medical representative, sige, wag na natin itong i-discuss. Hindi naman siya concern. 26. Penal provisions. Any person, so mga penalties, any person who shall practice RadTech and or X-ray Tech in the Philippines within the meaning of this act with any of the following attending circumstances shall, upon conviction by final judgment, be punished with a fine of not less than 10,000 but not more than 40,000 pesos. So if someone has violated any of the provisions in this act, so pag may na-violate na any section na nakasaad dito, so depende sa judge, basta yung kanilang penalty is from 10,000 to 40,000. So, hindi pwedeng bababa sa 10, hindi pwedeng sobra sa 40 o 40,000. Or, with imprisonment of not less than 1 year but not more than 6 years. So pwedeng hindi sila pagbayarin, pwedeng makulong sila ng 1 to 6 years. Or, If depende sa severity ng kanilang violation, pwedeng both, makulong and magbayad. Okay, so that is penal provisions. So, sino yung mga magba-violate or kino-consider na violation? So, without certification, certificate of registration. So, nagpa-practice ng X-ray tech or X-ray tech pero walang hawak na certificate of registration. So, usually makikita ito sa mga clinics, sa hospitals, naka-frame siya, nakasabit. Presenting or using as his own the certificate of registration of another person. So ginagamit niya yung certificate of registration ng ibang tao pero hindi naman yun siya. Using an expired license, suspended or revoked certificate of registration. So, halimbawa, hindi ka nakapag-renew, pero dahil busy ka, dahil wala kang time, or wala pang perang pang-renew, pero you still work in the hospital or clinic, so that is also a violation. Or, your certificate of registration is either suspended or revoked. Giving any false or forged evidence to the Board of RadTech in order to obtain a certificate of registration. So, halimbawa, gusto mo ma-exempt, so nagpagawa ka ng peking documents para isubmit sa Board of RadTech para ma-exempt ka. And you were granted a certificate of registration, tapos later na found out, so that is a violation. So posing or advertising as a registered rad tech and or X-ray tech or using any other means tending to convey the impression that he is a registered rad tech and or X-ray tech. So nagpapakilala ka na registered ka, may license ka, pero hindi naman pala totoo. So fake news. So pwede ka ring makasuhan. And violation on any of the provision or provisions of this act. Then we have Section 27. Ang ingay ng manok. Section 27, Appropriations. The amount necessary for the compensation of the members of the board shall be included in the General Appropriations Act of the year following the approval of this act and thereafter. So, ibig sabihin, yung sinasabi natin kaninang compensation, yung sahod, hindi siya. Actually, pag nasa government ka, hindi sahod ang tawag doon eh. Parang honorarium. So, yung compensation or honorarium ng ating members of the Board of RadTech ay dapat nakasaad sa General Appropriations Act of 1992 of the year, starting 1993. And every year na siya. So, dapat every year, di ba, if you are familiar, so every year, nagsasubmit sila ng budget. So, national budget for 2021, national budget for 2022. So, naka-include na doon yung compensation ng Board of RadTech. Repealing clause. So, when we say repeal, so ibig sabihin, i-disregard na. I-disregard na yung previous laws. All laws, decrees, orders, and other issuances, rules and regulations, or parts thereof, which are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. So, ang sabi dito, kung may mga halimbawa, yung DOH or ang Civil Service Commission nag-issue ng mga rules, regulations na hindi tugma dito sa ating RA 741, so baliwala na yon. Ito na yung susundin. Okay? So, ire-repel na yung mga lumang issuances, orders, rules, regulations, etc. Section 29, so this section is missing in the original text. So masyado siguro na-excite sila na malapit na matapos. So na-overlook nila na wala pa palang Section 29. Then Section 30, Effectivity Clause. Lahat ng Republic Act, yung pinaka-last is yung Effectivity Clause. So this act shall take effect 1 month after its publication in any newspaper of general circulation. Okay? So, sa effectivity clause, ito nakasaad kung kailan siya magte-take effect. So, ibig sabihin, if this was approved in April 22, 1992, pero nag-circulate na siya nung, let's say, February or March, and then you have violated any of the provisions nung April 21, so hindi ka pa makakasuhan. Kasi hindi pa siya nati-take effect. 1 month pa. April 22 to May 22, sorry. May 22 or May 21. So if you have violated nung April 22, so hindi ka pa makakasuhan dahil hindi pa siya nag-take effect dahil wala pang 1 month. Okay? So, those are for RA 7431 or the RADTEC Act of 1992. So it is very important for us to know, to be familiar with what is inside our law, so that when we practice later as X-ray techs and rad techs, so alam natin kung tama ba yung ginagawa natin. Alam natin kung may violations pa tayo. Alam natin kung ano yung tama. And maiintindihan siya natin. Okay? So again, it was approved in April 22, 1992, where the Speaker of the House was Ramon V. Mita Jr., the Senate President was Neptali Gonzales, the President, Philippine President during this time was Corazon C. Aquino, and in addition, the Board of RADTEC seal, which was required as I have discussed kanina, was signed into law on May 30, 1993. So meaning the seal of the Board of RADTEC, which was required by the Philippine Professional Regulation Commission, was signed into law. So formal na siya, and you cannot copy it, you cannot reproduce it because it is owned by the Board of RADTEC. As of 2020, there are 43 Philippine regulatory boards, which include the Board of Radiologic Technology. So this is from the PRC website. So ibig sabihin, as of 2020, meron tayong mga courses, 43 courses na may board exam. So yung ibang courses, wala silang board exam. So 43 courses with board exams. So that's why they have the Philippine regulatory boards. So this includes also our Board of RADTEC.